doing something different this video. Gonna be doing this voiceover as I paint this box. I'm very excited because this is part of my Bible project, and I'm gonna keep mentioning it because it's just, whoever thought, even for like just the biggest thing for myself, like I just never thought I would have an art project that I am selling. Like, what? And it's including all these different things that I just feel like embody me, and I just feel like whoever is going in their spiritual journey, in their self-love, self-growth, healing, reparenting, trauma, reopening, shadow work journey, if that correlates with your energy, this box could be some comfort for you. That is my intention for this box. Like, the inclusion of the painted box is just the last part of the project, and it's simply because I just didn't want to give a plain box. Painting this box gave me that creative opportunity and expression to just really do whatever I wanted with the box. And this time I wanted to just match it with the blanket, so with the green and white colors. I was making this blanket during winter, and I just felt like the energy that I poured into this blanket was just so much of curiosity, newness, trusting. And it's just because this is my first crochet project, and just the first thing I really got to do with my left hand since the surgery, since the accident. Like, this box means so much to me. And the reason I'm selling my blanket is because, like, I am so grateful to have this type of blanket, and you know, to be able to like see it every day would have been nice, but I felt like every time someone else saw my blanket, there was just like a grander sense of appreciation for it than I was having at the time, and I made it. So I was just like, okay, if someone else can appreciate it more than me, but what the point of me doing it was the process of it, I feel like it's a win-win at this point then. So yes, please, someone have this blanket, have it comfort you. It's queen size blanket. And I was gonna include just one oracle card that I pulled at the end of me making the blanket that also correlates with my energy and like whoever else might be resonating with me at the time. But I decided to also include just a new tarot deck as well. So yeah, so there will be an oracle card from my oracle lovely deck, and then just a brand new, or I'm not gonna say brand new because I have used it. I have to be honest, I used it. But I would like to give it to someone who also, like I said, would appreciate it much more than I would. It's a beautiful deck. It's oh my gosh, it's so loud. I don't want to close the window at the same time because I like the ventilation. A beautiful botanical flower themed one, and I will also include some incense. Would love that, just like some clearing of energy. And I will also include a crystal that resonates with the energy, like I said, with everything else. This bundle will include a bloodstone crystal. Yes, so that, and a handwritten letter from me just saying where I was at the journey, and any words of comfort and love, what the oracle card means and what the crystal means. It says all of it on there. I'm excited for whoever ends up with this box. I'm so excited. But anyways, let's get down to the self-love video. At first, I wanted this video to just talk about like my experiences of love since like my 6-year relationship and maybe a little bit before it. I do have a video, like I think it's my third YouTube video ever talking about my love lessons and stuff like that, and it gets into depth of what I knew it was then, but now having a broader perspective a year after about everything, I realized that it goes so much more deeper and so much more. It's been a long process of self-love than I had imagined it to be. And it really includes like, okay, I do want to include a trigger warning for the beginning because part of my story does include like sexual assault. So if that's part of a story that you don't want to hear, you can skip to probably to the middle or something. Just it won't be like the longest part of it, but I do mention something of that sort. So let's get right into it. I really believe I had a warped view of sex since childhood. Like, all the guardians I've ever had sex beside me, like on the same bed, or in the room next door. Like, I was exposed often to sex, so the curiosity was just like, what is happening? Like, I never saw it, so I guess there's that. I never got to actually, I didn't actually see anything, but you know, the movement, the noises, you know, all of that, curious. And so that just sparked a curiosity. I can't really remember what age all of that was, but it was just throughout a lot of moments of my life, so it's hard to pinpoint when and all that. But so this is not the actual sexual assault, but I almost had a sexual assault in Laos when I was 7. This is my first time going out of Canada. I went during Laos New Year, and what had happened was, when there was the Laos New Year, everyone in the streets or everyone in their houses just went out into the streets and started just celebrating. It was such a fun time, moments, water being thrown at each other all over, like we were celebrating. But then all of a sudden I felt like someone was chasing me, so I started running away. And like when I came close to my great grandparents' house, I had seen that this person was still chasing me, like full on running after me. So I got really scared. I ran into my home, ran into my room, and he was still behind me. And like, he was older than me. He wasn't much older than me, but he was older than me for sure. And I just remember just being so fucking scared. And I was just like, why is he chasing me into the room? And laughing, smiling. I was like, fudge. And I remember grabbing an umbrella and opening it up right in the room, and that was the only thing to protect myself. Like, I was screaming for help. I had this umbrella open. There was no way he could come near me, because I was just frantic with it. Then my great grandma had come into the room. She told him to leave and stuff, but the thing is, when I was crying hysterically, she was laughing at me, and that just made me feel like a whole other thing. I was just like, I don't feel safe with her. I don't feel supported from her. Why is she laughing at me? And you know, before this, especially growing up with my grandma didn't like when I cried. And I am very sensitive, but especially sensitive being a kid. Like, whenever my siblings or the kids I would watch get in trouble, like, I would cry with them, and I would get in trouble for crying. And it just came to the point, because my grandma would always say, like, she never hit me, so why am I crying? And it just became a very psychological thing, because I just kept saying, like, every time I would start crying, I'm like, okay, no one hurt me physically, like, why am I crying? And so I took it in that moment, before that incident, just like, I can't tell my grandma about it. And I just didn't want to tell my grandpa at that point. I just didn't feel like I had any support in that situation. I don't think I've ever told them again since this point, because I felt like, what was the point? Nothing actually happened to me. But I remember this memory like keeping me scared often, especially just with men in general at this point, especially strangers. I was just like, okay, I'm not trying to expect this out of all male strangers, but that's kind of unfortunate that this happened. And but then because like there's just been so many instances of just sex related things around me, I just started watching porn on cable at nighttime. Like, whenever it was just on, like that late night porn, I would watch it at my grandparents' house after they went to sleep. I would watch it like just wherever, honestly, as long as I had a TV access, I kind of would watch it. And I wouldn't touch myself. I wouldn't know to do that, but I just would watch it, like, just out of curiosity, honestly. And so just used to performative art since I was young. But there was this incident where I was watching porn, and it wasn't at nighttime, and it was not at a house I was familiar with, because my a guardian had taken me to a house and of their partners, and like I thought they were both not at home, and porn was on, and it was just like evening time ish or afternoon, something like that. And I was just like, I am gonna watch it, because at this point I was just so into it, more than watching other shows. So I put it on, and that partner saw that I was watching it, and yeah, there's just more. I was just sexually assaulted. I was sexually assaulted, It was a hard memory, and I think I just felt so, I didn't know how to feel for a long time after that one. Honestly, I think I blocked it out of my memory too until I didn't even remember that incident happened to me right when I became sexually active at 14. I didn't remember that incident then. It started coming up a little bit when I was more sexually active with like other partners. Then that memory came up one day, and I was just like, that memory came up when I was with a partner who I felt really safe with, which was a really amazing to be able to share that experience with him. But yeah, it was just always in the back of my mind that happened. And honestly, when I did lose my virginity at 14, it was at this point out of curiosity. The person that I lost it to had already done it before, and we had gotten together at the time, and I was just like, I'm kind of about it. I just want to see what happens. And it led to a lot of different things because I just didn't know. Like, I just didn't have any, my parents never talked to me about it, either one of them. No one ever talked to me about it, but I learned everything I did through what I watched on cable, which is not where you want to learn about anything, because all I saw was just how to please someone, how to like actually like how to be performative about it. So that's how I took sex. Like, I just like, this is a performance. And yeah, so it took me a long time to realize that sex is so like solely based on your own energy, how you truly feel about yourself, how you feel about another person. Like, it just had a really superficial thing for me. Like, sex was nothing to me in a relationship. Like, I truly didn't care to be a person to kind of hold off on having sex with a person after. Like, if I had a connection with you and physically attracted to you, that was kind of like enough for me. I had a pattern since 14 of like dating someone stable, then chaotic, then stable, and then chaotic. It just was like, I was knowing what I'm worth, and I was happy and stable within it, but then I was just unable to keep it, because at the end of the day, I just know chaos. I just know instability, because that's all I see around me. That's my role models around me. Like, if it wasn't chaotic, it wasn't love. Like, my family and I say we love you to each other after something horrible happens. And it's just, we never really say it when something good happens, which is crazy usually. But like, and I'm not saying that with my grandparents though. I'm not saying that with my grandparents. With my grandparents, I got to say it often. But besides the point, every time though I went into a chaotic relationship, I did get cheated on. I got shown really easily that like the people I was with, chose to be with after a stable relationship, didn't like find me worth it or worthy type of energy. And then I would find my worth again by dating someone like who did see my worth, but eventually I just couldn't see my worth in that relationship. So it was just like a whole bunch of like back and forth of that until literally now. But I did start birth control right away as soon as I became sexually active. I knew I had to keep myself protected because I did not want to get pregnant, of course, but also mainly because I just didn't want anyone to know I was sexually active, like in my family. I didn't really care if my friends knew because I was pretty open book growing up. To be honest, I remember saying that often, I'm an open book. But yeah, I stayed on the pill for 6 years. Getting off it felt like I wasn't depressed or as anxious as I thought, which was crazy because at one point I really thought I was losing my marbles on it. And I lost my libido for like the last 2 years of being on it too. Like, that dried me all the way up down there. It's just like, I just couldn't even find other people attractive during the time. I couldn't even find myself attractive at the time. Like, I just had such low like feelings about myself being on birth control. Like, it was just ugly. And then the shot, like the Depo-Provera shot, for a year, but I gained like 20 pounds in that year, which was crazy. Then I just ended up with an IUD. I still have one. This is my second one, and not because the time ran out, because I did get pregnant with the other one, but I feel like that just had to happen within my cosmos. So anyways, I have her back right in. But honestly, I just had really low standards for myself when it came to sex. And I'm not saying that to degrade anyone I've had sex with. It's just to simply say, like, I just really didn't care about myself at all, to care about who got to enter my sacred space or not. Like, I truly was just like, whatever. I did want to keep like my number limited though, just because I always felt shameful, only because of, like, you know, growing up, you don't want to be like the hoe, the slut, or whatever. Like, I personally just couldn't handle hearing that from myself, even though a part of me knew I just didn't want to care also, because who cares? Like, who truly cares? But after my 6-year relationship, I did have that I'm not gonna say traditional, that typical hoe phase where I truly didn't care, because before him, I at least wanted to be in a relationship with a person, or at least be like having a thing for a while before sex. But after the 6-year relationship, I was just like, well, since I don't care about myself anymore anyways, let me just keep this thing open. Which is horrible, honestly. But at that time, I understand. I forgive myself and love myself for that time. But I just not caring who I slept with, as long as they were available and had an attraction to them. And then within a year, I had like 5 different connections. And honestly, that's as hoe as I went, because after the 5, I realized it was making me feel more lonely than it was to actually be alone. And I just wanted to find something different, and that's when I ended up actually dating someone I met from Tinder, which is what led me to that really transformative relationship. And I do talk about my relationship often, that one, so I don't want to get into it about that self-love journey, but basically, to sum it up, because this is a self-love video, like, throughout that 1.5 years of being with him, I got to really teach myself how to love myself and what I'm actually worth, because he just had a lot of, or I'm just gonna say, we had a lot of experience time and time again where I was literally like, this, I know I deserve more than this. I know I deserve way more than this. Like, I wanted to be in a relationship where I get shown off, where like I get I love flowers. I am so cute like that. Like, I fucking love flowers. And he literally told me he thinks they're worthless. Like, he thinks it's pointless to buy because they just die. And I'm just like, wow, I don't even think we mesh when it comes to how we view love, because I want it to be romantic. I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be seen as a different form of art, like, be so connected. But I just, you know, I stayed because that's what I thought my worth was. Like, I truly just thought, okay, well, you know, and something I worth more. And I also knew every time we had a fight, or every time, like, it came to, like, down to the 2 of us needing something, like, he just had to always be the one who needed more. And because I'm so giving and such a giver, like, I would always put it first. And, you know, there was an instant where it was really questionable for me, and why, like, I'm questioning it now, but back then I didn't question it at all, which makes me so proud of myself for how far I've come when it comes to my self-worth. Because I remember telling him once, because he was asking me, he's like, how come you love so much? How come you love so hard? And I remember replying to him being like, I can love for the both of us. You know how weird and stuff that sounds to me now, because I'm just like, damn, I was willing to give double what I could give just to another person, when I wasn't even giving half of that to myself. Like, that is crazy. And like, for not, like, right now, I would never do that. I would never say that either. But just to even know that's like something I have said before, and something I've said like within the past 1.5 years, like, you know, it says a lot about how far I've come transformatively about love and with myself. It did take a couple people after my next ex for me to realize, like, my worth is in myself. and not these people who gave me attention. Because during that relationship of the year and a half, like especially towards the end, like I went through an abortion alone, like I went through my grandpa's death alone, like I went through really hard times alone while being in a relationship, and I just got really used to that because that's just the type of relationship I grew up in. Like all my caregivers and caretakers, like there's always come to a point where I just had to just figure things out on my own and deal with things on my own, and I just got used to seeing that. So when I had to do it with him, in the beginning, I just thought it was super normal for me, and I just thought I'm the only one who can handle my own problems by myself, no matter what it is. I just never got used to leaning on someone. So because I never got to truly lean on him, I didn't know what it felt like. But it came to a breaking point though, where I was just like, okay, if I'm in a relationship, I have to be able to lean on someone. I have to, you know, like there's no point other than that. Like I have to be alone then. There's just no point. So after the relationship with him, I got into like a situationship. I don't even know if this person would consider it one, but for me it felt like it, because I didn't even expect to actually have something going on with another person so soon. I did want to just kind of like have some fun or whatever, and that's what I thought it was. But then I got really caught up in what this person had said to me, and I don't know if it's just because like it was just head in the clouds type of thing and just mindlessly saying stuff, but for me it just kind of sent me into like romanticizing mode and just being a little bit attached. And I truly think that after being in a neglectful relationship like that, I just really craved any kind of comfort, and just the way that this next person had just talked to me, and it was just simply that he was nicer. It just got me. Like it was just so easy. And there was a lot of opportunities where I had to learn my self-worth with him, because I was so proud of myself, and I thought that, oh, okay, I left that hard relationship, I still live with the guy, but I still was just like, I'm gonna break this relationship because I just cannot stand my sanity being literally like not considered at all, you know. And then I was just like, okay, now I know my worth. So going into this next situationship, I just didn't think I had to learn more about my self-worth when I met him. But then every time he ghosted me, I kept being like, what is it? Like, am I just not someone worth getting to know? Am I just not worth like having around? Like, and then I would ask myself this all the time, every time he had ghosted me, and every time I let him back in and then he left, I did get stronger. I kept gaining more boundaries, but I kept being more, and then I kept leaning towards more curious why we were hanging out more than just interest. But at one point, when we hadn't seen each other for like a month, but within this month I had grown, where I was just like, no, I don't deserve to be ghosted. Like I don't. I think I'm the shit. So that's when I started really kind of taking more awareness of how much I thought I was a cool person and how much I thought I was a worthy person. And then so within the month, and then I got to see him again, before the night had ended, I turned to look at him and I just asked him, I was like, what is this? Because we never even talked about that. We didn't even establish anything about what we were to each other or anything. So I just had like a big like thoughts in my head about what it could be. Never really got to say it to him, and I just assumed, I guess we both assumed we just were on each other's same page. So I got to ask him, what are we? And then he just said friends with benefits, and I just felt like no. I just straight up in my head was like, no, I don't want that. I looked at him and I was like, I think I deserve more than that though. And he was telling me that he's just not in a place where he can date right now. And I just looked at him and I was like, that's okay. Like I just looked at him and I was like, it's all right. Like I feel like at this point, if you don't see me as someone to date and we've been doing this on and off thing for months, it's okay. Like it's okay. We'll just end our separate ways though. And I left that day so proud of myself because before that time, when he left my house, like I cried so hard because I was just like, just so disappointed in like in just what I thought what it could be, kind of thing. But yeah, felt really empowered about that. And like in between that, there was another person who's just complete surprise, and this one shifted me a lot in a different way. Like when I had met this person, the way that I felt was just like, it was just a different type of safety. It felt like mirroring, it felt really comfy, and it was a really cool spark. But I was so hesitant at this point. I was like, okay, I don't want to romanticize anything anymore. I don't want this to be fast. I don't want anything to like, I just don't want to assume I like him. If I do, like, I just want to take things as slow as I possibly can when it comes to another person. And when me and him have hung out, like, it was just so random. Just complete random. And I didn't expect me to feel the way I did by the next day of it. And just when we were communicating and when we actually did get to see each other, it was really nice for the time. But I had known during that time of my life, I was not ready to be anything at all. Like I knew I had to do some self-love. I knew I had to be on my own. But the thing is, I think I just truly wanted someone on my side during that time of my life. So when he had also been a person that didn't stick around after telling him like a hard moment, I was just like, yeah, I don't want to go through another hard moment in my life alone ever again. He's okay doing that, and if he's okay living the life that he is, that's okay with me too. I have to learn to be okay with it. And when he initially ghosted me, I was just like not surprised because of my previous experience with the other person. I was just like, whatever. Just whatever at this point. And then I guess I could be grateful that at least he officially ended things, so it didn't leave much to a surprise. Like, formally got to say bye and stuff, and I got to feel out those feelings about that time, and I got to be sad about it. But after my previous experience, I was like, hey, you know you're worth more than that, you know, like, you got this totally type of thing. And but a couple weeks after, when I had found out that he had been with or he had gotten into a relationship with someone else, that triggered a different part of healing for me, and that triggered a different sense of the self-worth. I was like, man, I keep thinking that I'm getting into my self-worth, and here it is triggering like different sides of it, but it just keeps showing me how complex everything is, right? Like not one thing can just solve like a whole bundle of things, you know? Like, you just have all these different types of experiences that you heal from. Like, not one experience just adds to an experience, it's its own experience. And yeah, learning self-worth through that was a shock to my system. I remember being sad about it for 3 whole days, and that was the longest I've ever been sad about something for like in terms of a relationship, because I've been really used to knowing when a relationship is ending for me. So when it actually ends, I don't really hold on to it anymore. So that's why I was really surprised. I was like, man, I'm still sad about this. Like, I just remember like on the 3rd day going to the water and being like, show me how I can let this go. I don't want to be sad about this anymore. But it just shows how much I keep running from my feelings, how much I keep running from my own like truth, how much I keep running just for myself and abandoning myself before. So yeah, got to learn more about my self-worth during that time. And I remember taking a break from the site for like a couple weeks, but then I was bored. I just remember because I had no one I was talking to in real life at that time much anymore. Like I was slowly isolating from my surroundings again. So I was just like, the only people I have. But at this time, I also downloaded Bumble to have Bumble friends because I wanted to hang out with like new people. So along with having Bumble friends, I went on like Bumble dates, and there was this one last Bumble date that I went on, and the way that I definitely felt with this person was just fudged. I really let this person like use me. And I just felt like complete shit. Like I walked home from this man's place and his house was almost 2 hours away from where I was living. That's how annoyed I was about the whole situation. Like, could I have Ubered home? Yes, but I was just angry and I just wanted to blow off steam, and I underestimated how far the walk was, to be honest. But at that point I was so prideful. I was like, I'm just gonna keep walking. But I had my break, and then I also had my double extra break by having that injury with my hand. So obviously, like, I didn't want to focus on seeing anyone at all when I'm homeless and my left hand is out of use. But at one point during the homeless journey, near the end, when I was gaining my confidence in self again, I downloaded it again. I downloaded the app again because at first it was because I was curious who would still talk to me knowing I was homeless, because I wanted to tell people. It was a social experiment for me. I guess I was just gaining that much confidence within how I was feeling throughout my whole homeless journey of self-love too, and self-trust. Like, so downloaded that, and I had went on a couple dates with people during the times I was homeless. Like, I got ready in the public washrooms, went on these dates. These guys knew I'm homeless, you know? And in one incident, I like slept over at another person's place too. But like both of those incidences, and everyone that I kept talking to and just had failed talking stages, I just kept being like, why? But then I just kept entertaining myself with it until I moved in here. And at first I still had the app. I was talking to a few people still, but then when it wasn't going anywhere, I was just like, man, this just keeps leaving me disappointed for people who I'm not even like 100% attracted to, or I'm not even 100% vibing with. I'm literally just trying to settle for something. Like, I could feel that within me. So I was like, okay, I need to just delete it. And the day that I deleted it, that night, my last relationship had DM'd me on TikTok. And I did talk about this in its own video about my confirmation of growth in my shortest relationship, something like that is in a video called. So I talk about that more in depth, but it was so nice to see myself really, like, when I was with him, I was like, you would have been someone I just would have really had a long relationship with in the past. Like, I truly believe like you would have suited an older version of me. And then at one point when I said that aloud to myself, I was like, this is an old version of me that it's resonating with. And just to be aware of that was really amazing for me. And I kept saying to him over and over, I was like, I really want someone like on a spiritual journey. I really am adamant about that. I said that a lot in the beginning when we were talking, but like as we were getting to know each other and how much he was coming to see me, it got my head in the clouds. Like, it really did. It felt like someone wanted to really take care of me and be protective. So I got really caught up in that. Like, he would buy my groceries. We would always go out to eat when we saw each other. And he came to see me 5 days a week. Like, he always made sure I was fed. He liked to just make sure I felt loved. Like, either if it was love bombing or not, it felt really nice at the time. And I was just like, I really appreciate this. And it just felt like every time I was sharing a story, he was just such a great listener. So I just got so into it. But there was just moments where I would really catch things, like a mask slipping, or like just really reminding myself like, no, you need someone spiritual, because it just felt like when I wanted to talk about my spirituality, there was just no resonance there. So I was just like, this is such a big part of my life that someone has to be on that journey too. Like, I have to be adamant about that. So I told, like, we had gotten into a argument one day and it just blew up really, really big, and it came to a point where I even felt like a little bit like unsafe, not physically unsafe or anything, but I just felt like unsafe in my heart, and I was like, I can't continue this relationship, I can't. And like, we saw each other one last time, he apologized for everything, and it just like, it felt like a nice conclusion, and I truly appreciated how much I could feel him like trying to hold on and still get to know me, because all of this of meeting him happened within like a month, and everything just happened so fast with him, and it just, but in my heart I was just like, I'm not ready to be in a relationship yet. Like, I know that. Like, he just wanted stuff from me too. Like, he was talking about Christmas and gifts he wanted, and I was just like, I don't even care about Christmas gifts. I don't care about stuff like that. Like, I need someone kind of out of the matrix too. Like, I just don't care about things like that. So then, yeah, it just is so eye-opening. And then I ended up blocking him because I just felt like it was just, saying bye wasn't enough. So that's how that had ended. And after that ended, I kept telling myself, I was like, you are not going on dating apps. Like, if that relationship showed you anything, it showed you how much you grew. It showed you how much you don't need a relationship, you don't need another person to be in this next chapter of your life, because you have never truly gotten to know yourself. Like, when I mentioned like that hoe phase, I didn't care to get to know myself during that time at all. During that time, I partied so much. During that time, I gave my effort, time, and energy to other people. Like, I did not give any self-love to myself. So I wouldn't say that was a journey of finding myself at, like, it could be a journey of finding myself more in the shadow side, because I got to know myself as my shadow side during that time. Like all the envy and all the anger that I truly felt, all this deep sadness I truly felt, like, I really felt it hard during that time, during that year. So I got to know my shadow side well. Me and her are like best buddies, you know. But yeah, so I just, you know, when the universe got you, they truly got you, because the next day after, I was just so like, I'm not seeing anyone, I'm not going on dating apps, I need something new, I just need something else to like take that time. That's what I kept saying to myself. I was like, I just need something else to be the other habit. And the next day, Cushy tells me, hey, there's someone teaching crochet at my dispensary on Sundays and Wednesdays. And I was like, for free? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? And then this is when I drove too. So I was like, of course. So I went every Wednesday and Sunday to see him. And that became my habit. And I just got my like excitement up, because he gave me like a crochet hook and some crochet, and I got really into it because I just instantly was like, I want to make a blanket. And as soon as I put my head towards something, I am so like tunnel vision on that. So I started making a blanket, and then I was like, I don't have time to be on my phone. I'm making a blanket. And it just, and then after a month of making the blanket, that the consciousness of even thinking about dating apps was just gone. I was like, I don't even want that anymore, because I just kept saying to myself, I was like, everyone who's on there is just seeking. They're not, they just, if you're seeking like that, that means you're just not allowing what's meant for you to be for you. And since I already had like an experience with a love relationship through Tinder, I was like, this is not good, because both of us at the time were seeking something. Like, we just weren't at a place of self-love when we met each other, and it showed you know, during the relationship. So that's why I'm just like, I think I finally want to meet someone when I'm actually out doing the stuff that I'm actually doing. Like, if I met someone while I'm out at this crochet dispensary thing, amazing. If I'm and then when I started bringing myself out to more community things and opening up my heart, seeing myself like want to be communicative with other people again, I was like, I really think I will but like I will end up, you know, naturally meeting someone. And this is what I kind of want. Ever since I was younger, I've always wanted a really cute fairy tale love. And I remember being in relationships and feeling like that. I've never felt that, like just the intense romance, like honeymoon period that's just, obviously, like, I'm not like honeymoon phase like all the time. Like I know when it's just, when relationships transform, I get that, but it's just like the passion to actually want to be with each other, the excitement to see each other, you know, I want that. And I just don't ever want to feel like my life is settling in any point. I wanted to feel adventurous, I wanted to feel alright. And then that's why I was so adamant on how I want a spiritual partner, because for me, ever since going into my spirituality, I feel like I'm constantly learning about myself and constantly learning about the environment and community and others and how I want to be in these spaces. And I'm just like, I've only reached this point after I've been spiritual, because before spirituality and all that, like before opening up to it, I mean, like I always thought I was a nice person. I always thought I wanted to do nice things for people, and I could see myself doing these things, but at the same time having so many limiting beliefs to it. But now that I finally feel like I can achieve them, I feel like that has happened because I accepted spirituality, because my life has been a constant like, what the fuck's so much, like all these random turns and all these like unexpected changes that happen with me. Like there's no way that there's not a spiritual side happening with me, you know? Like I feel like a lot of people think I get a lot of lucky breaks and stuff, but they don't see the months I spent on end like crying, and you know? That's why self-love looks different for everyone. You know, the love that you have for yourself is completely unique and for yourself. And when you finally achieve that, you feel like you're worth every type of love you want to receive. And you know, now that I'm treating myself like a princess, now that I'm treating myself like gold, now that I'm treating myself like how I've always wanted another person to treat me, now that I'm finally doing that for myself, I'm like, there's no way I'm settling for anything less than a Disney princess love. Like, I want that romantic shit till the end. I want to be with a hopeless romantic, like, so cute. And I'm so willing to be patient for something like that. And till then, I'm gonna keep doing that for myself. Like, the way I've romanticized the love I have for myself, that's been super powerful. And especially now with being in Pisces season, like Pisces is in my 6th house, and 6th house is the relationship you have with yourself. So this month is like extra love for myself as it is. So that's why I'm just so like, I know what I love now, I know what I need, I know all those things. And if someone else just can't give those to me after giving themselves love, then they're just not for me. And I'm so okay with that. I used to be the type of person before to really accommodate myself for other people to love me. I used to change so many parts of me just to feel accepted and loved from others, when it truly was never that. And my warped ways of love are no longer there, and they've been there for so long, since childhood, you know? Like, I just truly thought love was just kind of like an obligation or a requirement, as a chore, like as a duty. It was not because out of feelings, it wasn't because of this. So to fully feel like, no, this is what love is for me. This is what I like in love. Like, I truly love now because I love myself so much. And I love the next person I see. And I could just say I love you to random people and not feel like, why do I have to say that? I just unconditionally like to love. And that's because I just unconditionally love myself and pour into myself every day and prioritize that. And since doing that, I'm so excited about love, and not just in the relationship sense of romantic partners. Like, I'm so excited to love my friends. I'm so excited to love my mentors, my colleagues, my community. I'm so excited to love. And I hope that makes you excited to love how much I am excited to love. Because I just was hoping my energy is contagious. And I know you're probably listening to like all the sniffles and me holding myself back from crying and all that stuff, but I just want you to feel how passionate I am. And just to know, once you reach that love you have within yourself, you really won't want to seek it out in people or in other things who don't value you, who don't see you, who don't hear you, or who can't love you the same. You will want more for yourself when you love yourself more. And there are people who will meet that every time. You will always meet what you are giving out into the universe. So please love yourself, because if not, you're gonna also attract someone who doesn't love themselves. And if that's just something you have to go through to understand the love for yourself is the strongest kind, then that's okay too. But accept that that's your path, your current path, and know that like you can always change your path whenever you decide. I highly encourage you to give yourself a big hug and to honestly just say over and over, as much as you even feel like you have to convince yourself, I love myself. And to look in the mirror and say, and truly look at your eyes in the mirror and say, I love you, in that reflection. Say it once a day till you mean it. And I want to say that because I used to try to convince myself at one point to love myself, because I spent years saying I didn't. I spent so many years saying I hate myself, I don't like it, I don't like any bit of myself, I don't like myself at all. I said that for so many years. So when I first started saying I love you to myself, it was the most foreign thing. And honestly, it took me like a couple months to convince myself of it. So just know, if you don't feel convinced within like the first few days or the first few weeks, and even if it's longer, the first few months, just know eventually you're gonna believe it. And after you do, that's when magic happens. So I'm so excited for you to reach that point. It's so worth it. It's so worth it on this side, okay? You got this. You totally got this. And here's my conclusion of my crying talks. I appreciate you so much for listening to this journey of mine that I'm making into a podcast as well. So if you're into Spotify, I'm on there. I feel like I need to promote myself better sometimes, but I'm on Spotify as well. The YouTube videos that are mainly like my talking videos are all on Spotify, because I find that those are more of my comforting messages or just comforting experiences that I like to share without like silent visuals. So yes, this one will also be on there as well. And just please know, I didn't do what no one else can do. I like to say that often because there's nothing that I gatekeep that no one else can do. It's all a step-by-step progress, because we have to remember we are reparenting decades of our life, you know? So it's okay that if the first year is a hard year, if the second year is the hardest, but the third year is just a hard year, something like that. Just know 1 to 5 years of reparenting, of going through it, of tower moments, of depressive times, it will lead you to a lifetime of happiness after that, a lifetime of freedom, a lifetime of peace. Please know you are worth the wait of doing that for yourself. You are worth the patience. You are worth the step-by-step process and change. No one else can do it for you, and you will really love yourself for that. You'll love yourself for that when you know that. I love you. Thank you. here's my box. Look at her. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that I really went with like my slow and steady method of just doing everything, Cancer Mars version, you know what I'm saying? And I just painted a side a day, and when I did like this side, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this side only, but then I ended up doing this side. So I like having just like a minimal goal, and then just if I feel like it, exceeding it, you know? But just finishing this part on the top, very excited. Very exciting. And I'm gonna leave her as is like that. As you see, I'm not perfectionist. I don't care about this. So I hope whoever buys this also doesn't care, because I don't care. But yeah, I'm so proud of myself. Here, let's get the 360 now. I'm debating if I want to go over some lines with black Sharpie, but I'm still debating about that. I love it. I love how I just randomly made this tree so short. I was like, whatever. This side is cute too. Work it, work it, twerk it, twerk it, twerk it, twerk it. Buy my Bible project. It includes this box. I'm gonna try to make a really cute ad about it. We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my self-love story. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you come to loving yourself throughout all your journeys. Don't be shameful of anything you've gone through in terms of love and connections. It's all a learning experience. All a learning experience, you know? And it just keeps making you to the version of you today. And if it's just something that you don't see as your final goal, you know what to work towards for next time. But just know, prioritizing romantic connections, it's it if you have the love within yourself. But so far with me throughout my self-love journey, and just like seeing love throughout my community, seeing love in all different ways and smaller ways than just like that big romantic love, has been game changer for me. But that's just throughout my own experience. Love you. Thank you. Bye.